Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Today we will be discussing Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 6, text 2. Yam sannyasam iti prahur yogam tam vidhi pandava nahi asanyasta sankalpo yogi bhavati kaschana. Now Krishna says, Prabhupada translates nicely, what is called renunciation is the same as yoga. Yam sannyasam iti prahuhu yogam tam vidhi. What they say is sannyasa is nothing but yoga. And he gives the reason. For no one can become a yogi unless he renounces the desire for sense gratification. Nahi asanyasta sankalpo na yogi bhavati kaschana. If you cannot give up the desire for sense gratification, or if you cannot give up what the mentality of what is there for me, you cannot become a yogi. So here the two words sannyasa and yoga are used. The reason why Krishna is bringing up these two words, because if you remember in 5.1, Arjuna asked a question. Sannyasam karmanam Krishna punar yogam chasham shashi yachreya etayorekam tanme bruhi sunischitam. He asked about the sannyasa and yoga. And the whole of fifth chapter, Krishna explained what it means by sannyasa and how a devotee is the best sannyasi. How a Krishna conscious person fits all the attributes as followed by a sannyasi. Krishna conscious person also follows. So Krishna conscious person is the best sannyasi. And now the yogi. Krishna describes this chapter about who is a yogi, what do they do, where do they go, what do they practice. And then Krishna says a devotee again fits every description described about sannyasi. That is why these two words are being used, sannyasa and yoga. So basically, Prabhupada explains in the purport that sannyasa refers to cultivation of knowledge, and yoga refers to control of senses. This is what sannyasis and yogis do. A typical sannyasi is always cultivating knowledge and sharing knowledge and practicing renunciation. So gnana and vairagya are followed by sannyasis. And a yogi, his main purpose is to control the mind and senses and focus the mind on the Paramatma in the heart. So controlling senses is the functionality of yogi, whereas knowledge and renunciation is the functionality of sannyasi. Now, this knowledge, the sannyasi, he comes from, he establishes the knowledge that I am Atma, I am not this body. In the bodily consciousness, we are suffering. Just like, for example, our senses, we are constantly attracted by sense objects. And that is the root of suffering. How people say, no, I'm attracted by sense objects, I'm enjoying. How is it suffering? So Prabhupada gives a nice example. One time he was doing a fire sacrifice. And so he was taking the wood and putting the into the fire, and again taking the wood back and putting back onto the sand. So he was explaining, by this, he was explaining the functionality of a moth. This insect moth, it is attracted by the fire, the effulgence, because its vision, it is so attracted by the fire, and it dashes into the fire and gets vanquished, burnt to death. Yes, there is attraction, but that is dangerous. The senses getting attracted by sense objects, it is dangerous. Like the how they catch the elephants. The elephants are so enamored by the sense of touch. They use this female elephant, and the elephant is following it, and it falls into the ditch, and they catch the elephant. It is trapped. It is said that this goat is so enamored by the union between the female goat, the happiness of to enjoy the sex. Even before taking to slaughter, the goats are being taken to slaughterhouse, and in front the goat has gone and is getting killed, slaughtered. But even at that point, in one of the purports, Prabhupada says, the goat, if he finds the satisfaction of sex with another she goat, he will enjoy the sex at that time without finding how I should escape out of the situation. Because the sense of attraction with the senses is so strong. The elephant or the goat or the moth, we completely forget who we are, what is the purpose of life, and we get attracted and we continue this cycle of birth and death. So the sannyasi who cultivates knowledge, he comes to the understanding that this we are not this body, we are spirit soul. So I got nothing to do with this bodily activities. I am Brahman. Aham Brahmasmi. I am spirit soul. I am Brahman. But what is the problem? They fall down again. So there was this man who was working as a ticket collector in the train. So most of the time he spends in the train collecting tickets, eating there only, sleeping there only, getting ready there only. And sometimes he comes home. So one day he came home after a long time, and his family members became very happy, and he ate nicely, and he was tired and he slept. And again next day, again he came and he was sleeping, and then this wife was also sleeping. And in between, she heard that there was the sound of a train. And then suddenly, there's no train nearby our house. Where is this train coming? The sound of this train. And then she woke up and saw that there is a tape recorder which is playing out the sound of the train moving with these wheels and all of that, the tracks sound and all of that, the bogies and all. And then she couldn't sleep and woke up her husband. "Eh, what is this happening?" And he said, I'm so used to the sound of the train that I could not sleep at all. So peaceful. This home is so peaceful. Pin drop I could hear. But I want that sound in order to sleep. So I went and recorded that sound and came back. And only then I can sleep. See? So once, so that means you may be elevated to Brahman platform, thinking I am not this body, I am Brahman. I've got nothing to do with this. Now I'm peaceful. Just like this man coming to the home, peaceful atmosphere. But still, that rasa of enjoyment is there. How long can you remain in that peaceful atmosphere if you are used to enjoying, interacting with people, collecting tickets, hearing the sounds? How can you remain peaceful? You have to go back to the same sound. So the sannyasis who realize Brahman, they cannot remain in Brahman, so they fall down, attracted by the material activity. Aruhya kruchrena param padam tataha patanti anadhrita yushmadangrayah. Even though these sannyasis, they elevate themselves by kruchrena, by severe austerities, practicing neti neti, philosophizing, mental speculation, Vedanta Sutra study, and not eating properly, all these austerities, they may elevate themselves. I am Brahman, but then they fall down. So this is partial knowledge. This is not complete knowledge. That is why they fall down. The complete knowledge is possessed by the devotee who understands that I am not just Brahman, I am part and parcel of Parabrahman, Krishna. And my duty is to act like the part and parcel by providing service to Krishna, acting according to Krishna's wish. Then there is activity. Then there you won't miss the material activity. You won't fall down. So a devotee is in the right knowledge. That's what Prabhupada explains in the purport as well. If you read, only a devotee is in the right knowledge because he knows the constitutional position. Similarly, Vairagya. Vairagya means renunciation. The sannyasis, they typically practice renunciation. Oh, this world is not mine. Nothing is mine. I renounce. Typically, there are three classes of people: the karmis, gnanis, and devotees. So the karmis, what they do, whatever they find, they grab it, whether it is theirs or not. Like one donor, he was saying, I was talking, he had a business and he was closing down his business. He was asking, do you want anything from my restaurant? And I asked why he is closing down the restaurant. And he said, oh, I'm busy doing other things and I've hired this manager. He is pocketing so many things without my knowledge because I'm not there all the time. And he just pockets all the profit and cash and uses the resources for other things. So, this is the typical mentality of a conditioned soul. Always trying to, if something is lying on the street, I take it and enjoy. Are karmi. Karmi is like that. Wants to always grab things and enjoy. Whereas a gnani, he thinks it is not mine, not anybody else's, he just leaves it there. Say $100 bill is lying. Somebody, dropped it. It's been lying there. So karmi will grab it, whereas a gnani, he will leave it and go. Whereas a bhakta, he will take it and give it to or uses for the service of the Lord, which means the right use of the $100 bill is to give it to the person who lost it or to whom it belongs. Isn't it? Yes, it's not yours, but if you give it, that is right vairagya. That is called yukta vairagya. The Gnanis practice normal vairagya. Their vairagya is like, oh, you're passing by this Bank of America. Oh, I renounce Bank of America. How funny, isn't it? That doesn't belong you in the first place. I renounce this world. Who are you to renounce this world? The world doesn't belong to you in the first place. Nothing belongs to you. What is the point of renunciation? So the devotee practices yukta vairagya. Yukta vairagya means you can accept anything, money or position or power, duties, but for the service of Krishna. That is Yukta Vairagya. Prabhupada used to say there was this man during Gandhi's time, C.R. Das or somebody. He's a very wealthy man. He's a advocate, I believe, and he was making a lot of money. He had a very opulent lifestyle. But then he was inspired by Gandhi's movement for freedom. And so he came and told Gandhi, I'll give you whatever money you want for your mission. And Gandhi's thought process at that time was quit everything British. So Gandhi said, no, I don't want your money, I want you. I want you to come and join me, giving up that whatever service you're offering to the British. Out of reluctance, he joined. He gave up. But he could not sustain. After a few months, out of that separation from his lifestyle, he could not adjust and he eventually died. So, people, the Vairagya is very difficult for people who are used to enjoying a particular position, power, money. If you ask them to practice Vairagya, very difficult. Whereas you see Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, त्यक्त्वा तूर्णमशेषमण्डलपतिश्रेणीं सदा तुच्छवत्. They were Asesha Mandalapati. Mandalapati means, like in villages, they will call Mandala Parishad. Like that. Mandala means a district or a place or surrounding. So they were Mandalapati, that they were almost like the chief minister position. They were right hand of Nawab. Tyaktva, they gave it up, all of that, as Tuchavat. And they accepted what? A loin cloth. Bhutva Dina Ganesha Kau Karunaya Kaupina Kantha Shritau. They accepted Kaupina loin cloth to, as they wanted to be merciful to Bhutva Dina Ganesha Kau. Dina Ganesha means the Amadmi, or those who are enamored with sense gratification, for their compassion, to show compassion to them, to give them Krishna consciousness. But they didn't die. In fact, they were Anandam Budabdi Lahari, Kallola Magnau Muhur, always engaged in that Ananda of serving Krishna. Because the happiness they were getting as Mandalapati, that was tuchha compared to the happiness they were getting as serving Krishna. And they were using everything. If somebody came and offered money, they would not go away, oh, I don't deal with money, I'm renounced. No, they were using it to build temple of Krishna. Either money or position. Like sometimes devotees, they shy away, oh, from management. Oh, so much of bhakti means I don't want to deal with any other obligations. Pure bhakti. Just want to focus on hearing and chanting. There's so much of managerial nonsense or so many meetings. What is the use? But that is Yukta Vairagya, like Priyavrata, son of Swayambhu Manu. He was fully renounced. He went to the ashram of Narada Muni, even though he was the son of the great Manu, great king, emperor. And he was just in that ashram atmosphere. He gave up everything and he was practicing Krishna consciousness. But then there had to be a ruler for the universe, and he was the most qualified. And Swayambhu Manu came, Hey, I need you to take care of this. Who will do it if not you? You are the most qualified. But Priyavrata was very reluctant. And then even Lord Brahma had to come to convince Priyavrata. We are all obliged by the order of the Supreme. We have to do all of this as a duty towards the Supreme. And then Priyavrata accepted that position, power, wealth, wives, children, opulence. But he remained a Mahabhagavat. So that is Yukta Vairagya. Yukta Vairagya means accepting everything as service for the Lord. If I am given a particular role or responsibility, it could be dealing with money, or it could be dealing with a position or power, or anything for that matter. I may not have anything also. But use everything in your capacity for serving Krishna. That is called Yukta Vairagya. Whether you are given the role of an emperor or the role of a sweeper, you should consider yourself servant of Krishna, and I am given this particular broom or the danda of the king as to serve Krishna. Use it in the service of Krishna, not for my pleasure. This is called Yukta Vairagya. So a devotee satisfies both Gnana and Vairagya. The perfect Gnani and perfect Vairagi is the devotee. So automatically the principle of sannyasa is inbuilt in a devotee. Whereas a yogi, coming to the yogi part, his main objective is controlling the senses. So the yogi, as I was explaining, Vishwamitra, is he wanted to become Brahmarshi. He was controlling the senses and doing meditation. But small agitation. He didn't even look the ankle bells of Menaka. That disrupted his meditation. So his control broke. Whereas a devotee, by dint of controlling his senses, by engaging the senses in service of Krishna, he can control. Durdanta Indriya Kala Sarpa Padali. The senses may bite, but it is like ineffective because it is like the biting of a serpent whose fangs are broken. So, Prabhupada one time he used an example of how a devotee is one who stays in the boat of devotional service. Vishnu Poto Naranam. Vishnu Pota means the boat of Vishnu. Bhavajaladhigatanam Dvandva Vatahatanam Sutasuhrut Kalatratrana Bhararditanam Vishama Vishayato Ye Majjatam Aplavanam Bhavati Sharanameko Vishnupoto Naranam. So this world is considered Bhava Jaladhi Gatanam. We are all in this. Bhava Jaladhi means ocean of Bhava, birth and death. You're swimming helplessly, being thrown around with this Dvandva Vatahatanam, Sukha Dukkha, Dvandva, dualities are like the waves tossing us around. And thinking that all my relatives and relations give me happiness, and but they are actually bhara, great burden on my head. And vishama vishayatoye majjatam, therefore I am plunged in this ocean because of my attraction to sense objects, and there is no boat coming to help. We are in that situation. But a devotee, a boat comes. Vishnu poto Bhavati Sharanam Eko Vishnu Poto Naranam. If you take shelter of Krishna, Krishna provides that boat. So Prabhupada used the example one time. A devotee is one who stays in the boat of devotional service. If one is crossing the ocean and there is a lot of disturbance in the ocean, so many waves, but one who is in the boat, he is secure. But in the beginning, still because he is not adjusted to the staying on the boat, the waves are moving the boat, rocking the boat here and there. He is also getting rocked. But still he is on the boat. He is not in the water. He is secure. But as he practices, he remains stable. So the moment we take to Krishna consciousness, we get onto the boat of the shelter of Krishna. But still there will be agitation by the modes. But if we continue to endeavor, then we learn how to withstand that agitation. Continue to endeavor means endeavor taking pleasure in Krishna, not taking pleasure in the senses. If you continue to take pleasure in senses, you are sometime jumping into the water, sometime getting into the boat, like that. So, but a devotee who takes shelter of Krishna completely, he can conquer the senses because he is using the senses in service of Krishna, not just trying to artificially curb the senses like the great munis. Therefore, he can control the senses because he is engaging the senses and he is deriving the bliss in such engagement. So, the devotee can be both the best sannyasi and the best yogi. That's what Krishna says and Prabhupada says in the purport. We'll stop here. Anyone has any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Sadhar Pranam. Our glories to Srila Prabhupada. Please accept my humble obeisances.
Hare Krishna.
No questions today, but very beautiful session today. I really got so many take-home points. Thank you so much,
Thank
Prabhuji.
you. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Bhagavad Gita as it is ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.